What's up, everybody? It's your girl T Moore, and I am so excited that you are joining me for another episode of On the Other Side of Mommy because there is more to this mom life. And listen, if this is your first time here, Mama, welcome. Come on in, girl. Have a seat, okay? Take you a little sip of something, cause I know them kids been running around all day, and it's just like it's a lot. So we gotta sit down. Consider me your mama, your mommy best friend, okay? Cause that's what I am. I'm your friend that you get to chat with and talk with. You know what I'm saying? Because we talk to kids all day. We're watching Bluey or Paw Patrol or whatever show the kids are into this week. We've been doing that. Or at some activity and you're like, supposed to be watching them not drown at swimming lessons or, not get conked on the head with a football or something. And you're like, God bless them. And so you just need, not depressed. What I'm trying to say, y'all. Decompress. I knew. Listen. If you're also new here, sometimes I get a little tongue tied. I get excited. I can't help myself. But anyway, welcome. Welcome. Listen, I'm so excited because it's a new year and we are just rocking and rolling. And I can't even believe it's like the middle of the month already. It's like, seriously, like January is about to be June. So like it's just that's how fast the month is already going, right? And so January, it represents so many things to so many different people. And it's like this new, um, this signifying of like this change, like how they say new year, new me, and all that jazz. And so January for me is a very special month in a lot of different ways. It not only the first of the year, of a new year, it happens to be the month where the members, the of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, the finest sorority out there in the land, was founded on January 16th, 1920. And so it's very exciting. So shout out to my sorors and their beautiful self. But also, it's your girl's birthday today. That's right. January 18th is my born day. And listen, I am 39 and fine today. Like, I was looking at some pictures today and I was like, Lord, you did do that. You did do that. That is amazing how you did that there. She is looking good. She is me. And I am proud of what I look like today. Because I don't always look like this. And I know that y'all probably surprised. I'm like, I got a full face of makeup on today. I actually went out and had some brunch with my husband earlier to celebrate my birthday. And I had my sister who is in the background today, kind of like watching me, kind of helping out a little bit today on the show. But let me get into it because I'm getting ahead of myself. So let me start off like we normally do. We always do a little momspirational. So let me stay on track. So today's momspirational comes from one of our favorites, our forever First Lady, Michelle Obama. And she says, when I get up and work out, I'm working out just as much for my girls as I am for me because I want them to see a mother who loves them dearly, who invests in them, but also who invests in herself. It's just as much about letting them know as young women that it is okay to put yourself a little higher on your priority list. And that comes from, like I said, our Auntie Michelle Obama. And I don't know, that quote, Mo, like really holds a lot of weight for me as I enter my 39th year of life. And as I begin to kind of think about what this year signifies, I think one of the first things for me is that it represents almost, it's like I'm entering that last chapter, right, of my 30s. And I thought ending my 20s was a big deal.
Yeah.
But it feels like my 30s is more, it's like a bigger deal as I've gotten older, and I don't take it lightly. That I'm 39 because literally there's been a lot of losses within this decade.
Yes, extremely.
Yeah. And so, like, just from even losing one of my friends who didn't make it to her 38th, and it felt kind of like it feels kind of weird to like not get a call from her today, or a text message that I would have normally gotten from her. And so I don't take it lightly that I am, here. And so I think today I need to focus, and what I want to share with the audience is kind of more so like the healing journey. I feel like a lot has taken place in this 9 years in my 30s. And I feel like my 30s is where I really grew up. Like 20s were definitely for exploration, but 30 was like, nah, you about to grow up, and you're going to have to do some things differently. And so that's where we are. So I think that's what we're going to talk about today. Like on the other side of healing. And so as I think about my healing journey and what led me to that place, it was the kids. I have to give credit where credit is due. It was them. They really forced me to grow up, and it was more so in how I parented them.
Oh, that's interesting. I was going to say my first question.
Really? Okay, you got a question? Okay.
Yes. So my first question was, how has your healing affected how you choose to parent the kids?
Oh, that is a good one. So I would say for me, I began to parent them in the way that I needed my parents to parent me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I realized that the way that I was handling my kids wasn't helping.
Mm-hmm.
It would seem like it was causing more harm than good. And I began to just feel this heavy, I had to think in the church, the conviction that I wasn't supposed to be doing it that way. Mm-hmm. I wasn't meant to yell at them or, do pop-pops or whatever. Like I wasn't meant to do it that way. I was meant to show them, in order to show them respect, I had to give them respect. Mm-hmm. As just being one of God's children. Like, now listen though, they not as gentle. Like gentle parenting is not for the weak at heart, because these kids, this generation, they're not gentle. And and sometimes I be forgetting I'm gentle parenting. Cause sometimes they be like, watch out, and I be like, watch out. Like, you know what I'm saying? It'd be real fast. Mm-hmm. And I'll be like, but the biggest thing that's been a game changer is that I've apologized. I will go back to them and I will apologize to them. Mm-hmm. Because what I realize is that they are a mirror of me. Mm-hmm. I can't be like, oh, who raised you? Why you act like that? Well, whatever they're doing, they learned it. And most of the time they're going to learn it from me. Like, yeah, they're at school, but I'm still their most intimate relationship that they have outside of their classmates. I am that person. And so because I'm that person that they have to talk to the most, everything they're going to pretty much learn is going to come from me. They're going to get it from me. They're going to learn how to respect people from me. They're going to learn how to have empathy because I'm going to show them how to be, how to have empathy and all of that stuff. And so, but what I realized then it was me, it was little Tanisha that needed, instead of being yelled at or instead of being popped, what I probably would have needed was a conversation. Mm-hmm. Someone just to ask me, why do you feel like growing up, especially like growing up in the 90s and stuff, it was like the generation of parents, like there was no conversation about why you did something. Nobody cared why you did it. You just shouldn't did it. Like I said it. So why you doing it? There wasn't room to have big emotions and big feelings and, to really say how you felt about something. And so I realized that there are some of my older friends who are parents, like they think my generation, millennials, and like obviously the kids under it, they're weak or they're weak-minded. Mm-hmm. And it's almost kind of offensive because it's just like, oh, so because you got the hell beat out of you, you think you strong? Cause you displaying a lot of anxiety and a lot of PTSD, if you want to be honest about what you got going on.
Exactly.
So yeah, so that's what that's kind of opened up for me. That's what kind of started my healing journey. Really was my parenting.
So, do you think that your choice of healing, and this moves away from parenting, but kind of just moves into like life, do you think that your choice of healing had an impact on how you chose to do your marriage?
Ooh, that's a good one. Oh, you can messy.
Well, you
Ooh.
told me to ask questions.
I did, girl. I was like, wait a minute. So, yes, because I think that in healing, so 27-year-old Tanisha is not the same as 39-year-old Tanisha. When I got married at 27, I remember I was a broken person, really. And I was looking for love and I wanted someone to love me because I felt like I had all this love to give. And so imagine, you're 24, 25, which looking back on it, like that's really young. Like you really don't know who you are but you think you want to be in this serious relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And so at 27 I get married, and again I'm growing up in my marriage. And for me, I felt like I went into a cocoon at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2020, when the pandemic happened, that's when there was this really big shift for me. And so I began to become, and I still am, becoming more myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I began to pursue dreams that I once had. I began to pursue things that brought me joy that were outside of my husband because he cannot bring me joy.
Mm-hmm.
That is not his job. He cannot make me happy. He might can do things that, bring me happiness, but I get to decide my feelings. And if I'm putting all of that into that person, that's not going to work. And so what I began to realize that I had this fantasy idea of what marriage was because I come from, divorced parents. And so, and also no shade and no tea to Disney, but, just Disney movies, rom-coms, all of that. This hopeless romantic was forming, but it's not always, it's not real life, because real life is like you're dealing with so much more.
Mm-hmm.
And so in my healing journey, what I've learned is one that love is cool,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Love is however, and it's not this a feeling. Love is action. It is literally an action word. It shows up in how I serve. But in knowing that was really, really huge. I would say another thing that my healing as it relates to my marriage is that I began to take back my individuality because I'm not just the wife, I'm not just the mother, I'm still Tanisha, and there's still dreams and visions and things that belong to me, and I deserve to do that. And also just really me choosing me.
Yeah.
And making sure, and finding a peace that I didn't have when it came to my ideas. I think now in my healing journey, my ideas about marriage it's 1000% has changed.
Mm-hmm.
It is, I view marriage differently.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand Tia Mowry, who recently had announced her divorce. I understand why she said what she said, and I get what she means. But yeah, heal Tanisha romantically. She's definitely different.
Mm-hmm.
She's that's the grown ass woman.
Mm-hmm. So what does finding Tanisha look like? What does that mean when you say you're getting back to you? What does that mean? What does that look like?
Oh. So when I'm thinking of finding Tanisha, it's finding the place where she got lost.
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere in that childhood of mine, she got lost. It could have been with all the different moves growing up. It could have been with watching the world and kind of seeing some of the ugliness of the world and having to kind of put up defense mechanisms to protect myself. And so as I get back to me, it's stripping away titles, right? It's stripping away what I do, because what I do is not who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm an attorney, but okay, cool. I'm an author, fine. I'm a mom, I'm a wife. Those are just titles. Who I am, though, is a loving person.
Mm-hmm.
I love to laugh. I enjoy being silly. I wouldn't say I'm a mature person, but I like to, I have a sense of humor. I like to laugh at a lot of things. I like to joke. I like to, banter. I'm sarcastic with my humor. My line name was Dynamite Blue. And so I used to, and they were like, "Well, man, she'll go off on you or whatever." Like, I didn't necessarily have a problem with telling people when they did something that offended me, but somewhere along the way, I became afraid to tell people that they did something to offend me, or I didn't want to go do something, so I did it. So like that people pleasing part of me had started to really take steam, like I would say, in college. And so once I decided to take that back and take that away, I began to find myself at the core. Mm-hmm. So finding me is basically getting to the adjectives, not the verbs of me. Mm-hmm. A little writerly thing, not the verbs. Getting to the adjectives of who I am. So that's where I am. To me, that's what it looks like. And it's not pretty. It's not pretty. Having come to Jesus meetings with yourself, like the healing journey, is very ugly.
Very, and it feels ugly.
Mm-hmm. It's quite painful. It is a lot of unnecessary. I won't say unnecessary, ugly truths. It is the unpopular opinions, and how they post on Facebook. Oh, unpopular opinion. Like, mm-hmm. That's what healing feels like. It is the unpopular. It is admitting my faults where I messed up at. It is taking ownership for allowing certain things to happen, forgiving my own self, especially for the things that, obviously you can't change it because it's the past, but having to forgive myself for those things that took place in my life, letting go, forgiving others, forget. But I love it because Pastor Tim Ross, he was sharing on his episode of The Basement, he was talking about how forgiveness and stuff like that. He was like, God has the seed of forgetfulness. Like, that's him that casts forgiveness from the east to the west and all that good stuff. I ain't God. And I thought about that, and it's like, I used to really beat myself up about that I would get, that I couldn't forget something or whatever. And I felt like that meant I didn't forgive them. But think how I understood what forgiveness was, even for forgiving myself. Forgiveness really is more so about, it's a process. It's starting the process. And so when I choose to forgive somebody or forgive, even myself for something, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to forget what took place, but it does mean that I'm going to release myself or release that person of this prison of bitterness. I'm going to release you of this anger. I'm going to release myself of this guilt and this shame, or I'm going to release that person from, because I need to be free of that so I can sleep at night, so that I can go about my life and go about my day. Now, if I see something and it might trigger me, and I'd be like, "Ooh, that nigga was raggedy," and I might get mad again.
Yeah,
I might, but that's okay. It don't mean I don't forgive. It just means I was watching this movie and they did something that was stupid, that was reminiscent of that person.
Just plays on the triggers. Yeah.
Right, it just plays on the trigger. And I think that's the confusion, is that the triggers get confused with unforgiveness, and it's just a trigger. And triggers, you don't know that you're being triggered until you're being triggered. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I hate when people say, I'm triggered. But baby, that's not what that means. Okay, if you always triggered, then baby, you need to just stay in your bubble at this point. Because life is triggering you at this point. So yeah, so That's what I think it really means for me when I think about it.
Do you think you got the proper support while you were on your healing journey?
Not initially, no. I don't think I was being supported. I think um, until I got back into therapy, that's when I feel like I got the support that I was needing desperately, was through therapy, talking to my therapist and really digging. It was, and then also when I began to kind of change some of my friend group around and connecting with women who were, and even men who were on their own healing journey. And they could identify, like, I credit, Kayla, because I remember she started her healing journey, and even Ashley, I remember they both started their healing journey, and I used to look at them like they were like low key a little off, because they would say stuff or they would do stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm afraid, like, and then I started my journey, and then I began to see what they were. I was like, oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense, like, cool. So so having a safe support system has been really key. Like having girlfriends that I could be honest. I posted something in my Instagram stories from Candace Benbow, and she was talking about how how sometimes in our sister circle spaces we're not always safe to say, like, ooh, I think I married the wrong person, or ooh, I don't like this job, or whatever, because people's knee-jerk reaction, as well-meaning as it can be, is like they project their fears. And it kind of convicted me a little bit, because I've been guilty of, like, someone said, oh, I want to have kids, or I want to do this. I'm like, ooh, girl, it's ghetto. And in a way, not to discourage them, but there have been times, and again, this is maturity and growth. Like, there's times when I know that I've been the discourager, where I have not been as supportive as a friend, not intentionally, but may have projected something on someone else. And so, realizing that, and then even realizing who my support system is when it comes to my healing journey, to have the support that I need has been critical. Especially because I'm a dreamer, and I dream really, really big. And so I can't really hang around people who don't dream big. Like, I realize that now. And I think about a lot of dreams that got aborted because of who I was in relationship with. Because they couldn't do it, or they was afraid to do it, or whatever the case may be. And so they passed that down to me when I'm like, oh, I want to do this. Oh, girl, you think you want to do that? It's really hard. Well, I know it's probably hard. I ain't saying it wasn't hard. But what I am saying is that I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Like, you like, no. So, yeah. So I haven't always been supported on my healing journey. And I think when people hear that you're on such a journey, I really think they kind of look how I looked in the beginning, a little judgy. Like, oh, okay, sounds cute. Until you have to do it, and then you find out, like, oh, this shit is hard.
It is. It's hard. It's ugly. It's uncomfortable. It's everything all in one box. And you deal with it. It's yours.
Yep, it's your box.
Yeah.
And you got to carry it. And the thing about it is that you do need support in it, because it can get really low, especially because you're unearthing stuff in order to get. It's one of the things, is this scripture I love so much, where it talks about he'll take your ashes and turn it into beauty, something like that. I love it because in the storm, as you're going through it, the storm is ugly, like, and even the rebuilding phase. It's because once you get through the storm and the sun is out and it's shining and the skies are blue, and then you're looking at the damage that has been done, and you're like, this is going to cost me X amount of dollars, or, to rebuild. And when you think about your life, it's going to cost me X amount of time, or however long it's, whatever it is to rebuild. But when you get to the other side, damn, it's beautiful over there. It really is beautiful, but you got to be willing to go through it. And we're always healing. We're always on the journey. Like, it doesn't stop. but you just get to like it's next levels. You know what I'm saying? It's just a never phase.
One of the things I think my particular healing journey has made me think about, I don't remember exactly who it was in the story in the Bible, but it was Jeremiah 18. And it talks about when he went down to the well and the potter was
with the clay?
With the clay.
Uh-huh.
And he mashed the clay and he rebuilt it into how he wanted it to look. It makes me think of like the healing journey in that sense is God is going to crush you and he's going to rebuild you in the image in which he sees fit for you. So I remember I was sharing this with one of my girlfriends and I was telling her, I was like, I want you to read Jeremiah 18 because I really want you to understand that your clay is perfect. And you don't need new clay to get where you're going. You just need to be crushed so that he can rebuild you. So I watched you on your healing journey. And I didn't start my healing journey until 2022. And it wasn't until around September of 2022 that I actually started my healing journey. And it's just been a continuing journey for me. But I'm constantly reminding myself that my clay is perfect.
That's right.
And that God is going to crush me. He's going to crush the old me. And he's going to remake me. And he's going to just mold me into the vision that he sees fit for me.
And I think that's the thing. I think we have to understand, like, it's not, you have to take out whatever you thought you were going to look like.
Yeah.
That's one thing I learned. Like, you're not going to look like whatever you think it is. Like, especially, even if you're not a believer or whatever, like, no matter what you believe, like, whatever, that's just how life is, right? And you have to be flexible. But I do believe that you can envision, right, the life you want. I believe that you can write out the plan and the vision, but it's the how that I think you have to sometimes be flexible with.
Yeah.
How it gets done and what the end result. Because at the end of the day, I liken it to math problems. 0 plus 4 equals 4. 1 plus 3 still equals 4. 2 plus 2 equals 4. Like 3 different, math equations, but they still will get me to the same answer.
Mm-hmm.
How I get there is going to be different.
Yeah.
And that's something like when I think about where I am now in my healing journey and just kind of where I am now. First of all, I'm a huge proponent of scripting. Mm-hmm. Huge proponent. For those of you who don't know what scripting is literally what it sounds like. And so it is, and I credit Javacia for giving it this name. If y'all don't know who Javacia is, just Google C. Jane Wright. She's like a local celebrity here in Birmingham. She's amazing. But, so when we was at the writers retreat at the Bisbee Writer Retreat in September, that was one of the activities we did. And I did it before. I did it in 2018, if you remember it. And I sat down one day and I was like, okay, I'm going to write out what my life looks like 10 years from now. And because I'm extra, I gave myself instructions to follow. So I'm like, okay, 10 years from now, I'm in the grocery store and I meet a friend. And then me and the friend, I wrote all this out. Me and the friend go have lunch the next day. And I tell her what my life has been like these last 10 years. And so I write this, I guess like a story. It's almost like a story. And I'm telling them like, we went and we had another child when Savvy was 2, and the firm is doing this, or I'm writing books now, and my books have gotten movie deals, and I'm acting on one of the shows, like Shonda Rhimes picked up After the Storm and turned it into this series, and I get to act, and not only do I get to act, I get to sing now. I'm finally singing. Blah, blah, blah. And so I'm writing everything out as though it already happened. The craziest thing was that stuff was happening as I wrote it. And even with getting my agent, like when I think about how I wrote that out, I was like, she's going to be my Jamesco's, it's going to be my agent. and I'm gonna celebrate with Ebony because she gonna have her agent, and I wrote down her agent's name. Now she didn't get the agent that she initially had wanted, but she did get an agent who's just as great as well. But it happened. Even with mom and the whole house situation and stuff like that, I wrote it. I was like, listen, just script it out. And so I think that has also helped because I began to write out how it happens, and I walk away from it. And I let my subconscious, my dad calls it something. I don't know what it's called. He all into that stuff now, but I'll say he got some legs, but it's just science. Like subconsciously your mind just goes to work. So, but I don't put no time on it, and I don't worry about the how. I just write the end result. The how is up to God, however he's going to do it. I don't know what he's going to do. He do what he want to do anyway, so can't be telling him what to do. I try, but he don't listen.
Yeah.
He don't listen. So I'm really big on that. And so as I enter into this 39 year of life, one of the things that I want to do this year is I want to do 39 things before I'm 40. And 9 of them are going to be big things. I hope they're big. They'll be big for me to kind of represent each year in my 30s, but 39 things, big, small, medium, whatever. Some personal, some just probably personal growth stuff that, okay, I want to see this happen. And then other things like fun stuff. Like I want to really learn how to draw because Sydney be drawing. And I'm like, oh, you 7, you my child. I'm like, okay, girl, listen here. And I want to get back into singing. I want to actually complete some real singing lessons. And I want to really overcome that fear that I had when it comes to singing in public and get my voice to where I feel comfortable singing again. So there's some things I want to do. And I feel like, not my dog having allergies. It's so gross. Anyway, and just really kind of go after it to kind of culminate 40. When I get to that new chapter. But this is like my Jordan year. It's a big year for me. So I'm excited for all the things to come. But my biggest prayer is for this year is to have wisdom in all of it and grace to handle it all. Because it's going to be a lot. And I want to be able to handle it. I want to have grace to handle it. I want the wisdom to connect with the right people. I want to say no more often, but not in a way to be like an ass, but more so like if it doesn't align with purpose, then I need to adjust. So that is what I'm looking to do this year.
Well, I'm not in my 30s yet. I am on my last year of my 20s. I'll be turning 30 this year. But the only thing that I would say is to give yourself grace this year.
Lots of it. Lots of grace.
Accept the newness because there's going to be a series of newness and it's going to be amazing. Expect God to move big and fast in your life because this is the year where we take quantum leaps. Your 30s has been, from 38 to 30, it was steps.
30 to 38, you mean?
Whatever. 30 to 38.
You said 38 to 38. I was confused.
We're steps, but 39, you're taking leaps. But also just stay within his mercy. Just ask God for mercy and wisdom as you go on. But we also ask for discernment in this season.
Yes, gotta be discern these hoes.
Because, all right, well, I wouldn't say that.
Okay, you weren't gonna say that.
I was not going to say that. And I'm not going to tell you what you said is right. I'm just going to tell you what you did.
But it wasn't wrong.
It wasn't right. It wasn't right either. I'm going to just tell you what you did.
They might be.
As Dr. Brown says. But just experience the newness, embrace the newness, embrace everything that comes with it. And in this season of obedience, because you keep talking to me about obedience in my healing journey, I really want you to remain obedient.
I got to. It's because it's tied to the blessings, right?
To the blessings.
And I think in order for me to be obedient, it starts with my discipline. Like
It's a
that,
mindset.
that discipline, like it's a shift in mindset that has
Yeah.
to happen this year, like a serious shift in mindset. Like I'm not gonna call it ghetto what I have to do because it's not, because it's for the kingdom, but it feels
Very much, yeah.
it feels
Be honest.
it feels like, you know, I want to give it 0 out of 0 stars.
Yeah, well, because no, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Because it's not sexy what's about to happen.
Who's trying to go through this? Who? It's really one of the things is who is trying to be broken down. But the way I see it is you've already experienced that. You pledged in the sorority, and the process of that was to really kind of change your mindset. It was a shift in mindset. So you've already done that. Now it's time to do it for the Lord. That's all.
That's all. I appreciate you for being.
I ain't there yet. I'm getting there.
You gonna be there. You just take the time. It's quantum leaps is what we out here doing. It's what we doing.
Yeah, but just embrace it because it's gonna be a lot of newness.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot of experiences coming your way.
I'm excited though.
I'm excited for you.
I'm excited because I feel it. Because I feel like it's big. It's not there yet, so it's like, okay, I was talking to a friend earlier, and he was like, you know, his life coach was telling him that take it in the present for today.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's so hard to do, especially I think if like for Capricorns, like we can't help ourselves. Like we think so far ahead. Like, oh my God, the world is on fire. And people are like, girl, the world is not on fire. But I'm like, but you remember when Noah was building that ark and they said, well, no rain. And then it was rain. That's what I want to be.
But
like.
You are not Noah.
I could be Noah.
You cannot be.
I could be.
You don't like.
But I could be Peter though. Well, I don't like
Which
animals.
one?
Peter.
Peter denied Jesus 3 times.
Oh no, I don't want to be Peter. My bad.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I don't want to be that Peter.
Yeah, he denied Jesus 3 times.
He did.
He
okay.
Peter after
he accepted him.
Oh.
The other Peter. The Peter after. I want to be the Peter that choked. I want to be the Peter that said when he was like, when the man came and he was like, "Sir, do you have any gold and silver or whatever?" How he said, that's the man voice.
Oh, he's in my and
he was like, "Silver and gold have I none." But let me tell you what, go on, get that mat up and walk. That's what I want to be. I want to be that Peter. That's the Peter that was after the denials. Not the denial Peter. Mm-hmm. Maybe the Peter that cut the ear off if I got to.
He was slicing and dicing for the Lord.
He was slicing and dicing for Jesus. Amen.
Don't slice and dice, though. It's not received as well.
Nah. I can't lose my bar licenses. I work too hard for them.
Yeah. I mean, it's all right.
It's all right. But I appreciate you. Mm-hmm. I'm glad I get to do life with you.
Yeah, I'm glad. You're blessed.
I'm glad.
You are blessed to have me.
Okay. See. All right. Anyway, y'all, if you see me on the socials, you know, follow me at Instagram, you know, T_more_writes, Twitter at Tanisha T Moore. And, you know, I be out here on the web from time to time. I be hiding because I'm not supposed to be. I need to be writing because I'm on deadline. But I really am excited. Sorry about that. I'm really excited to do this life journey, which is why I started the podcast, because I wanted to have community with other people who just kind of like, listen, let's talk about more than just these kids. I mean, I'm going to talk about my kids all the time, so I realize I cannot help myself. But that's not what this show is about, because we're not talking about how to parent them. We're talking about like what life is like on the other side. And so hopefully y'all got some gems. Got something from me. But if you see me out here, feel free to tell me happy birthday. Okay. And also know that I'm celebrating my birthday all year long. It doesn't stop. And so if anybody has the hookup for Usher's residency in Las Vegas, I am open to go. With all expenses paid for, you know, have a gift to me if someone wants to gift that to your girl, because I'm like a super Usher fan. Like, I'm like, confessions, this is my, like, I've just, oh my God, like, it is a thing. Okay, so that's an option if you're thinking about gifts. Okay. You can also, you know, there's other ways to support me, but that is definitely one of the 39 things I would like to do. I just thought I'd put it out there. You know what I'm saying? But happy birthday works. I like happy birthdays because it makes me feel special that you think of me. So anyway, Anyway, y'all, I'm about to wrap this up. I'm so happy. And until next time, I will see you, mama, on the other side. Bye.